Championships are only the beginning. Dynasty Road.
Hey, welcome back to Dynasty Road. I'm Jordo.
I'm EFO.
And we are Dynasty Road, so thanks for joining us. We're going to be doing the top 10 wide receivers going into next season as it stands now, which is February 23rd, 2022. Before we get into it, check us out on all our platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and follow us on each platform. We'll be putting out content consistently, won't we?
Yes, we will.
As you've been doing.
We've been trying.
Right now, I am trying to find my list. Go.
So I don't think with my list there'll be any major shocks. Maybe the position of the individuals, but I think me and you will have very similar individuals on there. But as I was saying before, I also don't think I really appreciated the wide receiver position as much until I started doing this. And I was like, oh, yeah, I got to look at that a little bit more. So maybe you might have a different list than me going from that.
Well, I mean, right off the top, you realize that Cooper Kupp outscored like any running back. He was like in quarterback territory for fantasy.
Yeah. and it wasn't that much of a jump from even last season. Like it was 53 more receptions, but like it was close to the same kind of production even as last season. So
I don't know about that.
it was only 53. I looked it up. It was 53, but he did like he blew up, but like it wasn't like he was like 40 and went to like 145. He still had 100 and like 90 something, 97 or something like that.
197 what?
I mean, he had like 97, I think, receptions last season. So he still had almost 100. He had 145 this year. So it's like it's not like he went from 50 to 145.
Okay, but he went from okay, I can't even find him. So he was the top wide receiver this year with 439 points. No, hold on. Let me 439 points.
Yeah.
If you had a point per reception league. Last year, he wasn't even in the top 25.
Right.
He scored 209.
Yeah. No, I know.
230 more points this year for your team.
Right. And I guess so, but I guess like, so in 2019, he still had over 1,000 yards, 94 receptions. 2020, 92 receptions, close to 1,000 yards. Now, granted, this year, 145 receptions, almost 2,000 yards. It was a jump, but it wasn't like he went from 566 to like 2,000. I guess that's
okay.
I guess that's my thinking. Like, I mean, he was still like, that 1,000-yard almost wide receiver, 100 catches. Like he was still in that ballpark in my mind. So
before we go any further, is he your number one guy?
No. He's number 6 on my list.
Okay.
I told you I'm doing the way I would do it.
This is what I want.
You asked for EFO. I'm giving you EFO.
Okay, good. So he's my number one. Who's your number one?
Justin Jefferson.
Okay. Well, you can't really argue with that. What's your criteria there?
It just the production, obviously, and just the age. I mean, he's only 23 years old. Well, he's going to be 23 years old in the season. he accounts for, he had 114 touches. So, I mean, he's accounting for a good portion of their wide receivers, their touches and things. To have over 1,600 yards, 108 receptions at only 23 years old, with basically being the only option for them, really. I mean, their tight end is decent and they have a running back, but I mean, like, in terms of wide receivers, he really is their only receiving option.
Well, I mean, Thielen's in there.
Yeah, but
I think he's 33,
something like that.
Yeah, and he got injured this year, but
that's it's just the age, and it's, I mean, we're looking at Dynasty. I mean, he's 23. He hasn't even really hit his prime technically. And if they can get a better quarterback, I think that's going to just help him out.
Yeah.
I think over the long term.
So there's not much you can argue. I mean, if he's the first wide receiver off the board, I don't think you can really, because the thing with Kupp is I owned him in 2019 and 2020, and then I traded him halfway through the 20 season. Okay. In fact, I traded him for Robert Woods, because when Goff was the quarterback for LA, Woods actually slightly outproduced Kupp. Kupp was super frustrating to own. He had all this potential, and he had a terrible quarterback, and the quarterback kind of preferred to go to Woods, or
for whatever reason.
So, but now that Matt Stafford's the quarterback, that's all makes all the difference in the world. As long as Stafford is the quarterback, I think you're going to see that production. As soon as something changes there, whether Kupp goes to another team or Stafford goes to another team, or Stafford gets injured, then I think you'll see his production go way down.
Yeah. And it's funny to sit there and say, as long as Stafford is the quarterback, he's good.
Right.
It is kind of scary to say that kind of sentence.
But they do have unbelievable chemistry. They practice together.
Yeah.
So that is the caveat with Cooper Kupp. If you're definitely in a dynasty league, you have got to give some serious consideration to Justin Jefferson. I agree.
Right. And that's kind of what I was thinking, is that, Kupp 29 years old, Jefferson 23 years old. Yes, Kupp definitely outplayed him, but if you take away this past season, him and Jefferson are very similar in what they've produced.
Yeah.
So does Jefferson have what Kupp did in him? Possibly. And again, it was Matthew Stafford, the quarterback play, relevant. So does Jefferson, if they upgrade this season or even next season to a better quarterback, does he have that potential? Yeah.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's competing with Randy Moss. He was competing with him in his rookie year for rookie records for wide receivers. So that says it all.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, I got Deebo Samuel.
Okay.
Who do you have?
And tell me what you got about him.
Just his emergence this year. I don't know. Like, I guess he was being used as a running back for the last half of the year.
Almost. Yeah.
So,
because you figure he had 59 rushing attempts for 365 yards.
Yeah. I mean, so if that's the case, then that adds to his value. And yes. I like Brandon Ayuk's. He didn't really develop this year the way everyone was expecting him to. He was a bust. And so I think Deebo Samuel's the man. and he just fits in. He finds ways to produce within their offensive scheme. So
Now, is that saying Garoppolo is still going to be there, or is that even taken into a factor that it's going to be
yeah, that's factoring Lance.
Lance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I think Lance may even amplify his Debo Samuel's numbers.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
Or if you believe the rumors, Brady. Supposedly
Well,
Brady is going to.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the
49ers.
case, then yeah, he's going
Which I don't see happening just because they spend so much capital on getting Lance.
I mean, unless they evaluate Lance and they just determine, yeah, he needs like 1 or 2 more years of tutoring.
Maybe. Yeah.
And who better to tutor him? I don't know how much tutoring. I don't know how much tutoring Brady does. I get the feeling he doesn't do a whole lot, but
yeah, I don't think so either.
But that was with Garoppolo, and he still had a lot left in the tank in New England.
Right.
If he goes to San Francisco, knowing that he's on a 1 or 2 year contract, and this is just about it, this is my ride off into the sunset, then maybe he would be more inclined.
So I went with Jamar Chase.
Yep, strong. Okay.
Again, he's going to be 22. Just what he's done and how we talked about the chemistry with Kupp and Stafford, that chemistry with Burrow and Chase is just, it's there. It was there in college. It did translate, thankfully, into the pros. Now, it was only one season. I mean, a tremendous season, made it to the Super Bowl, almost won it, very close to it. I think that's the only reason why I probably didn't make him number 1 was just the fact that it was really just one season. At least with Jefferson, we have 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And I think it's more mediocre quarterback play than Burrow. I think Burrow's a better quarterback than Cousins. So I'm just going with Jamar Chase with this one.
Yep. I can't argue with that. I had Justin Jefferson. Oh, wait, what number are we on?
We just finished number 2. We're heading to number 3.
Oh, so for number 3, I have Jefferson.
Okay. Anything else to add?
No, I mean, he's a beast. He's one of my personal binkies. Like, I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I was pretty high on him going into last season. I just wasn't able to get my hands on him, but yeah, just if you're going to build your wide receiving core on him, I think he's got 15 years in him at least.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, yeah. I went with CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, that's a little bit controversial. I think people are down on him,
which I don't know why.
You're not down on him though.
Huh?
You're not down on him.
No, I mean, obviously, I put him 3rd, but I mean it, and that might even be a little bit generous. I should have put him 4th, in all honesty. But he only started 13 games last season. He was a little banged up. He still finished with close to 100 yards, over 1,000. 100 receptions, over 1,000 yards. And I think being only 23 years old, I think he has a lot more potential. I think this was just he's only been in the league, 3 years, and he's been producing. And I think he's going to have a chance this season. I know Cooper's still there, but I think he's going to have a chance to step up even more.
Okay.
So I'm not down on him. I think 6'2", kid's beast.
Yeah. And Cooper doesn't seem to be able to stay healthy.
Right.
I think he has that track record established pretty well.
Yeah.
Even if he misses a handful of games.
He always seems to at least 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
So
good.
okay. Where are we? We're number 4.
Number 4.
Okay, so I have Jamar Chase.
Okay.
And as I'm doing this, as I'm going through this again, I almost, you could persuade me to put Chase number 1, Jefferson number 2, Cup number 3.
Yeah.
The more I'm analyzing this, I'd be so happy to have Chase as my number 1 receiver. If you're at the end of your first round in your league,
right,
and people have been taking running backs, at the turn,
yeah,
and you get Chase and Jefferson.
If you can, that'd be good. I mean, yeah, and you figure even in the startup, like you would get at least one of them, and you could get Jefferson and Cup very easily.
Yeah.
Especially in a 12-man league, because you got 3 or 4 quarterbacks, 3 or 4 running backs.
By the way, I am totally of the mindset to whatever the trend is in the draft, do the opposite. So if running backs are going in the first round, take wide receivers. If wide receivers are going in the first round, maybe your league surprises you, and Cup, Jefferson, and Chase are gone, and you're drafting a number 12, let's say, and those guys are gone. Okay, well, let's go running back, or let's go, if it's a 2 quarterback league, let's go 2 quarterbacks.
Right. Yeah, and double up on that, because then there will be, because if there is a run, like you said, there will be a shallow. There will be one position that will be shallow.
Yeah, you want to start the run. You don't want to end the run.
Yeah.
That's a universal mantra. And I do follow that, because I've seen it work multiple times. So, okay. So that's a strong group right there. Go ahead. What were we going to say?
So my number 4 is Deontay Johnson.
Yep.
From Pittsburgh.
What's funny about him is, like, he kind of surprised me when I went through the rankings and I saw how many points he put up.
Yeah. He kind of surprised me when, like, I saw just like how much he was actually involved with Roethlisberger as this quarterback.
So
and
you
that's
think
why I was,
excuse me, you think that his production will continue even with a new quarterback?
Yeah, because I mean, he was being used a lot. He's had 107 receptions, over 1,000 yards receiving.
Mm-hmm.
He had a few rushes, not a lot, just about 5.
Yeah.
But he only started, he got injured a little bit. He only started 14 games, but I mean, you think about with him, and what Roethlisberger was throwing to him, and there was a reason why Roethlisberger kept dumping it off. It's like he just didn't have it. And last year Johnson was decent. This year he's picked up again. And the only reason why he's not, like I said, I probably should have made him number 3. It's just that the quarterback situation is an unknown right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Mason Rudolph, you kind of hope that's not their plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think then he'll be hurt a little bit by that. But if they can get one of those rookies, I think maybe not next year, but the year after. And if you're thinking about a dynasty, it's like you're trying to, he's only 26, so he'll be 26 during the season. So it's like he still has a few more years, and the production is there. So
yeah,
it's just right now. I think it's just the whole quarterback situation.
Okay, I can accept that. So number 5, I had CeeDee Lamb. Okay, and you?
Tyreek Hill.
Okay. Yep. I just think I think CD still has, his ceiling is still, he's pretty far away from his ceiling. So yeah, I do think he'll get there with Dak, and I think it's going to be beautiful once they do. I could see him having a breakout year this year.
Yeah, no, I could too. And that's kind of why he is number 4. Like, I mean, he is number 3 on my list. It's like he's right there. Like, he really is to me. But you know, and he still has the best quarterback throwing to him, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only 28 years old.
Yeah.
He's gonna get his.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, in even at the beginning of the season when they weren't scoring like 45 to 50 points, he was still getting it, and they figured it out towards the end of the season. They really do need to improve on their offensive line and their defense, but
true.
I think if they do that during the offseason, he could have another monster season this year.
Yeah. Because I mean, he started the year with 11. The first game of the last year was 11 receptions, 197 yards, and a touchdown. Now the next week was 3 receptions for 14 yards.
Right.
So he does do that to you.
Yeah.
He does do that to you, but then 2 weeks later, he goes for 12, 186, and 3.
So
that's 48 points.
Right. You can, there's some guys that like it drives you crazy, and you pull out your hair and you're like, why did I draft him? I think with Tyreek Hill, those little dips, because they're not so often, you can kind of live with those games. I mean, I don't have it in front of me. How was it?
I tell you though, EFO. So he had 4 for 14 week 2, 7 for 56 week 3, 9 for 49 in week 7. In week 12, he had 5 for 22.
Yep.
In week 13, he had 4 for 76. In week 14, he had 2 for 19.
I already told you, me and Mahomes had an agreement. He was going to tank for me this year while I was doing my dynasty.
Yeah. So 14, 15. And then week 17, he had 1 reception for 2 yards.
I'm like, do they need that game? I forget.
January 8th. I'm not sure if they. Yeah, I'm not sure. That was week 7.
No, and I know what you're saying, but I just it's hard for me to sit there and say no to him with the production that's been there.
Right. So then the other weeks, the other weeks, you're looking at 11 for 197 and a touchdown, 11 for 186 and 3 touchdowns, 9 for 76 and a touchdown, 12 for 94 and a touchdown, 7 for 83 and 2 touchdowns, 9 for 77, 12 for 148 and a touchdown.
And that's the problem that was the problem with them last year. It's like when they were off, they were horrible. When they were on, it was almost the whole team though.
Yeah,
like when they were on, it was juggernaut. When they were off, it really was a 1 for 15 kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So number 6, who'd you have?
Cooper Kupp.
Okay, that's right. And I had Terry McLaurin.
Okay.
I still like him. I like his potential, and I like the idea that there's going to be a new quarterback there.
Yeah, there will be.
So he's the number 1. He's the clear number 1. He's young. I didn't check his height and everything, but let's see. He's 6 feet, 210.
Yeah.
He had a little bit of a down year this year, but I like what he did. Yeah, he definitely had a down year this year. A lot of small games, fantasy point wise. But if you go back to last year, it was a lot better. He had 3 games over 100 yards, and then he had 3 more games of 90 plus yards, and then 2 more games of 80 plus yards. His touchdown production could use a boost. I think they probably look for their tight ends and their running backs in the red zone, but I still
especially
like
with McKissick. I think it was McKissick. He usually, they knew they looked for him a lot.
They do. Okay. Anything to add to Cup?
And it's funny because on my list, he's the only one that actually averaged over 100 yards per game. That he was over, but it's just that I know it's just he's 29. That's all, and I know that's not old for a wide receiver per se, but I would just, with the whole Matthew Stafford thing, it was great. It worked for this season. Can he do it again? And can Cup do it again? And just the age, and there's nothing that says they can't. The only thing might be is how much will, if OBJ stays there, and how much does, who's the guy that got injured? Was it Woods? There's Woods.
Yeah.
He got injured. So it's like when all those guys come back, what is the offense going to look like a little bit too?
Mm-hmm.
Even with Akers coming back, because he would receive out of the backfield too. So I think for myself, that was just why. Because other than that, I think just as a standalone season, I think he might be your first regular fantasy right off the your number one wide receiver. I think in Dynasty, you could probably get a couple of different other guys.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yep. Okay, so then number 7, I have Devontae Adams.
Okay. So what about him?
Just especially if Rodgers stays. I don't really know what, I haven't been following.
And he stays.
And he stays, right. Off the line, I think he's the best receiver off the line. He employs a lot of basketball into how he gets open, basketball move.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And I just think his technique is flawless. So there's no shortage of talent, and there's no shortage of work ethic, and there's no shortage of technique with him. The variable is his quarterback play.
Right. Yeah. And if he does leave, where he's going to end up.
Exactly.
So exactly. It's like,
if he and Rodgers are still together, I bump him up to number 4 on my list.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can see that. I might even add him to my list.
We're going to get to that. We'll get to that. Okay. Who'd you have?
Jalen Waddle.
Okay. That's good. What do you like about him?
He actually produced a lot better than I think a lot of people expected, especially with the quarterback play around him. He had Brissett and Tua throwing to him.
Yeah.
and he's still 104 receptions, over 1,000 yards. And he caught almost 75% of the passes that were thrown to him.
Oh, wow.
As a rookie. So I would like to think that Tua would get better. I would like to think that Waddle, he's only 24, or he's going to be 24 during the season, that he's going to improve. And that's why it's like he was kind of an under the radar, good productive.
Mm-hmm.
I think you add some touchdowns to that, all of a sudden, and it's hard to, determine whether or not a guy can get touchdowns. But I think if you're in a PPR league and you're getting a guy who gets over 100 receptions, that's, I think, where you kind of start.
Yeah.
especially for a wide receiver. It's like, give me at least 100 receptions. And then, everything else is kind of gravy if you're in a if you're in a
exactly.
PPR league, because it's like, you have something like that, like a guy who can get at least that, it definitely helps out. So that's kind of why I went with that. And again, just, hoping that my thought is that that San Francisco was actually going to trade Garoppolo to Miami to get one of their picks back.
Okay.
They can have a first round pick. That's what I'm going to go with.
All right.
So
I want to
Garoppolo
add
will be down there.
Oh, it would be an improvement.
Yes, it would be.
I wanted to add something about Devontae Adams. So he's really the model of consistency, and that's what you're looking for.
Right.
He scored double-digit fantasy points every single game. Now granted, some of those were 10 points. Like his first game was 5 receptions for 56 yards, no touchdowns. But he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games of 100 yards or more. He had 5 games of double-digit receptions. And he had 1 game with 206 yards, 11 receptions, 206, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So he's almost like a rich man's Tyreek Hill. Like his floor is higher than Tyreek's. His ceiling is just as high, maybe just a little bit lower.
Right.
Maybe just a little bit lower, but
his
not
floor
by
is higher. Yeah.
Not
because Tyreek will give you those like 5 or 6 point games where he's going to give you at least 10 to 12 point games. That's a big difference.
Right. That's right. So I just wanted
I think the only thing with him was his age. I think because he's going to be like 31 and free agent, and it's just kind of
a little uncertainty there.
Right.
Okay. So number 8, I had Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
For obvious reasons.
Yep. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay. So you think he'll continue?
Yeah, I do. I think they started being able to use him. I mean, he only started 9 games. And he finished with almost 100 receiving yards. And almost 100 receptions. He had 90 receptions and almost 1,000 receiving yards. And he caught 75% of his catches. And
yeah, he was for all wide receivers, he ranked 5, 4, 3, 2, 22nd.
Yeah. And
overall.
That's for playing 9 games, starting 9 games and really being the only option towards the end of the season that they were even going to.
And I think we said this in another video, the last 4 weeks of the season, he was number 2 behind Cup.
Right. And that's with and they had a practice squad guy like lining up opposite of him from Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I think of Robinson, I think his name was, or something. It was like, I mean, granted, Swift is there, and who's their tight end? Hawkinson. And but I think he's going to make that step up. 23 years old, 6 feet, 197. I mean, he's got the body, he's got the hands.
Okay. Number 9, I have Keenan Allen. I'm not in love with that pick. I actually could probably put him 10th. I think that my 10th is probably higher than him. I would draft number 10, but this is how I have it when I wrote it. So
right.
Keenan Allen, he's got Herbert throwing to him. He's the man. I mean, I guess Mike, what's the other guy's name? Mike Williams, but he's not consistent.
Don't trust Mike Williams.
No. In fact, another member of our league, he was like, I would never own Mike Williams. He burned me. He he's an injury waiting to happen. And it's exactly what happened. He got injured.
Yep.
After he said that last year. So I like him because of the target amounts that he gets in their offense. So these are the targets that he gets on a game by game basis: 13, 8, 12, 11, 9, 5, 11, 13, 11, 13, 10, 8, 10,
Yeah.
6, 9, 8. Okay. He could
when he's getting
improve
that many
his
targets.
I mean, yeah. So it only resulted in one game where he had double digit receptions, but he did have 4 games of 100 yards or more. He only had he had 6 touchdowns. So you'd like to see that up around 9 or 10 or more.
Yep.
Especially he's 6'2", so you'd think that they'd go more to him, but they do have Eckler in the red zone, and they have but they do have Mike Williams,
Higbee.
who's a little bit taller.
Yeah, and Higbee too, right? Is it Higbee?
And they have Higbee, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's right. So, but he's a consistent guy. I wouldn't. He's an excellent number 3 receiver on your team.
Right.
He's slightly above average number 2 guy. He's not a number 1. You don't want to build your receiving core around him. And he will turn 30, or he's going to turn 30 before the season starts.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he'll be 30 during the season, which, you know.
It's not like you're talking about running backs, but.
Right.
Who'd you have?
No, we're on 8 or 7.
We're on 9.
We're on 9. Okay. So Elijah Moore.
Okay.
From the Jets.
All right. Tell me about him, because he's not in the greatest situation.
No, because it's on the Jets.
Yeah. So
no, and you know what? With him, it was kind of like when he was in there, he was able to produce. He only started 6 games, but he averaged 77 targets. So it was a little over averaging, 10 targets a game.
So it's really the target count that you're looking at.
Well, the target count, he's young. I mean, he is smaller, on the smaller side. But I think towards the end of the season, if I remember correctly, like the last few weeks, it looked like him and Wilson started developing chemistry.
They did. He had, so starting in week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, well, I guess it was his week 7, his 7th game that he played. I think it was later than week 7, but he had 7 for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then he had 3 for 44 and a touchdown. Then he had 8 for 141 and a touchdown. And then he had 4 for 46, no touchdowns. And then the last game he played, he had 6 for 77 and a touchdown.
Yeah. And so I think that is going to translate into next season. And granted, I think that there are other talented wide receivers out there, even some of the guys that you mentioned that might not be on my list that I might draft before him. But in terms of a dynasty, would I be upset if I got him again? Because I did trade him away. But would I be upset if I got him again? No, I don't think I would be. I think I'd be okay with him. Again, it really does boil down to quarterback play and see how Wilson does. But it looks like also Wilson did kind of get it towards the end of the season too, once he came back from injury.
Yeah. Okay. Number 10, I had Jalen Waddle.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And you?
Jerry Jeudy.
Interesting. Okay. So he's kind of somebody that I feel like has kind of just like flown under the radar. Like people were really big on him, and now he didn't even enter my mind as a candidate.
Yeah. And I not that I don't disagree with that. I mean, he only started 5 games last year because of injury, but he got 56 targets, 38 receptions. And I think Sutton possibly moving on, they're going to upgrade in quarterback play. And he's only 23 years old. There's still some potential there. And I think for a dynasty player, I think that's not a bad spot to be looking at. I think there's still a lot more potential there. And I think I'm going to say that this year was kind of injury quarterback play. You know, when you got Drew Lock throwing you the ball,
Yeah.
it's you know, it just doesn't look good.
Okay. Did you have any honorable mentions?
I did have honorable mentions.
Lay them on me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 honorable mentions.
Okay. Lay them on me.
I'm just going to rattle them off real quick. So Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Devontae Smith, and Rashad Bateman.
Interesting. I had one, and that was T. Higgins.
Okay.
Yeah, I like him. I like him as a sleeper. I think.
Yep.
Especially when Jamar is going to get double teamed or have the best corner on him all game, I like Higgins in that spot. Right.
And if the Super Bowl was any kind of indication of what he could do, you know, I think developing that this offseason would really improve his game.
Yeah. I'm going to rattle off some names. Did you have anything to say about your honorable mentions?
No.
Okay.
Just, yeah, I mean, it's
there must have been one or more reasons why they didn't make the list, obviously.
Right. Like I just Deebo Samuel, I think a lot of his was the running part of it. Receptions, I mean, he did good with yards, but because he would catch the ball and just run with it. Like he would, I think he's basically a running back playing wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it really does seem like. DJ Moore, he put up some pretty decent numbers, and he had the mess that was down there in Carolina.
Yeah.
And he's only 25 years old, so it's like, you know, I still have some faith in Metcalf. You know, I still have some faith. I know. I still have some faith in Metcalf. Like, I really hope that he, you know, Russell Wilson they fixed some of the problems that were going on. And because, I mean, he still did, you know, he was decent enough.
Okay.
And then I think next year, Rashad Bateman could be a really good sleeper. Okay. This year, there was a lot of buzz about him, but he didn't quite live up to it. He only started 4 games.
See, I see Lamar Jackson as the blockage there.
Right.
And especially with Marquise Brown now coming out of the woodwork and kind of having a great season, maybe 2 seasons.
Yeah,
season and a half maybe, but
I think Bateman's going to overtake him.
Okay.
I think he's going to overtake him this year.
All right. Let me rattle off some names here.
All right.
These are people that did not make the list and whose names, most of these names we haven't even mentioned. Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm sure there's a bunch. Like, yeah.
And I guess as I read these names, you tell me
why.
No, tell me what round you'd feel comfortable drafting them in.
Okay.
All right. Stephon Diggs.
4th.
3rd. DeAndre Hopkins.
I feel comfortable drafting him in 2nd.
So the 2nd round?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like towards the end of the 2nd? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize you were that high on him. I thought you had written him off completely.
No, I just don't. In terms of a dynasty wide receiver, I know he's not that old, but I also don't like his quarterback.
True. Well, but they do have a connection, though.
They do have a connection. To me personally, I just don't trust it. But if he was sitting there at the end of my 2nd round, I think I'd have to do it. I'd have to pull that trigger.
Okay. Calvin Ridley. Oh, but did I say what round I would draft him in?
No.
DeAndre Hopkins, I would draft. Well, he was injured at the end of the year.
Okay.
And I think he's over 30. I mean, he's like 32. So
maybe, yeah.
I was going to say the 10th round.
10th round?
The 10th round, I'd be comfortable. Yeah, because I mean, it's like there's so many other people that.
No, I know it's true. And maybe I wouldn't, but as you asking me right now, I'm going to say second.
No, we'll just go at the top. I mean, I shouldn't be ashamed of my answer either. All right, Calvin Ridley.
15th?
Yeah. Yeah, I almost would draft him at all. I wouldn't even draft.
I would definitely draft him just to take a flyer. Heck, I drafted N'Keal Harry. I might as well draft Calvin Ridley.
Okay. Who's the guy on the Saints that was injured all year? Their number one receiver.
I want to say Cook, but I know it's not Cook. Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas. I think Ridley is this year's Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Where you're going to get him maybe in the 12th to 15th round.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. DK Metcalf. You explained how you felt about him. I think things are going downhill really fast in Seattle.
Right. It's not him as a player. I think it's just the team itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm still high on him as a player, but I don't really trust.
So what round would you take him?
4th.
I'd go 6th. Okay, here's a name that hasn't come up. AJ Brown.
Right. And he should be coming up. I think because of being injured and because he's not that old.
Yeah.
He is productive when he's in there. I just don't. I think when I think about Tennessee, I think about an old quarterback. I think about an old team, between Henry and Tannehill. And I think I'd probably lump AJ Brown in there as well. But
he's not.
He's not. He's not. I think I just lump him in there in terms of how I feel about them. But I think I would take him in the 3rd.
I'll go 4th on him.
Yeah.
All right, let's stay on tennis with Tennessee. Julio Jones.
Waiver wire.
Yeah, do not draft Julio Jones. I've owned him the last 3 years. He kills you.
Yeah.
He kills you. He kills you. Do not draft him. He's done. All right. 3 more names I got here. Mike Evans.
I thought about him. I looked at him as even an honorable mention because the production and the player himself is pretty decent. But if Blaine Gabbert is throwing him the ball, I just don't see it. I mean, maybe they can get somebody else, but who's their rookie quarterback?
Trask.
I forget now. Trask. Yeah. Like
Kyle Trask.
It's like, do you trust those guys? And so I think that's what's going to hurt Mike. It's just,
and conversely, all right. So where would you take him
right now?
Yeah. Right now.
Probably like 10th or 11th.
Okay. I was going to say 5th round. What about Godwin?
He's an even more because he got injured. He's a free agent. So it really is. So him, I could almost go 6th.
If he was kicking around in the 8th round, yeah, I'd take him.
Just because I don't know where he's going to land. And, if he goes to Green Bay and replaces Adams because he's younger, then all of a sudden, he jumps up. But if he's going to like North Carolina, the Panthers, just because that's where they throw him the most money, he's going to go down, like in my opinion. So,
and last one, Adam Thielen.
considering I didn't even think about him at all as any kind of threat to Jefferson. I'm probably going to say, let's see, what's the last round?
Okay.
I'll go one before that.
All right. So right before your kicker, or
Exactly.
right after your kicker, maybe. I'd go 10th round on him, but yeah. So that's it. That is the top 10. Let's
in
see.
our opinion, definitely the top 10 in our opinion, because we'd love to hear your opinion of what we did and what your top 10 are.
Did you have Deebo Samuel in your top 10?
No, not my top 10, just as
Okay.
honorable mention.
So we had 6. We had 6 names that we both agreed on: Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. That's 7, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that's 6.
Yeah, 6.
Which,
I mean, in all honesty, if you're looking at it and you're starting off your dynasty league and you get if you can get 2 of those 6, you're in really good shape. The guy who won our league, he had 2 of them and he ended up winning the league.
who did he have?
Chase and Waddle.
And I will tell you, because I was in the final with him, Jamar Chase won him that week.
Exactly.
If he did not have Chase, he would have lost that week. And he would have even lost had I had 2 defenses to choose. I had 3 defenses to choose from. And the one I left on the bench was the Rams, and they scored 44 points as opposed to 6 points, which was one of the ones I had in there.
Right.
So he still would have lost if I had made that decision. But yeah.
So it's like, if you can build around any of those 6 guys, you're going to be in a pretty good situation with your team going into the season.
Absolutely.
I mean, we might have different opinions on who other guys we can plug in there and who we might find as who we think are going to rise up and who we think are going to improve. But I think those 6, you can't really go wrong.
And these are the 6: Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle.
Right.
I mean, that's a solid group right there.
It's a solid group. I mean, you could see them going, 6 picks right in a row, truth be told.
Yeah. All right. So that is the top 10 wide receivers going into the 2022 season. Give us a comment below. Tell us your thoughts. We really would like to get these comments going. We're not getting a lot of comments, so we want to hear from you. And check us out on Instagram, because EFO is mostly posting on there, and he does a great job. And until next week, we will catch you later.
See ya. Well, I don't think with my list there'll be any major shocks.
Is he your number 1 guy?
No. He's number 6 on my list.